Hi, my name is Jessica, and I'd like to thank you for joining this CCMS tutorial. It's brought to you by the Salvation Army Croc Centers of the Western Territory. Today we will be covering how to sell and set up concession items in your kiosk. Let's go ahead and get started. To sell a concession item at your kiosk, first you want to log in. When in your cash register screen, these lower buttons are what are considered custom concession buttons. Let's go ahead and sell an item. I think I'd like to purchase a sandwich. I would like a half sandwich. These top buttons are your pricing levels, so I have a whole, a half, and a special. And then these bottom buttons here in the sandwich item are what we call modifiers, so I can change and customize what I want on my sandwich. I can ask for some extra cheese, mustard, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomatoes, and maybe possibly I want to add a cup of soup. Once I'm done selecting my modifiers, I want to hit Add Item. And what you'll see here on the receipt line is that the base price of this half sandwich is $3.99. Followed with 50 cents for our extra cheese and an additional $2.99 for the cup of soup. The modifiers of the mustard, mayo, tomato, and lettuce don't have any charge. I'll go ahead and collect the $7.93 by hitting Pay. I can choose cash, check, or credit card or gift card for the sale. We'll go ahead and pay with cash. $8. Hit Next to finalize the sale. And the system shows me that I owe the customer 7 cents in change. I also have the option of whether or not to print a receipt, so definitely always give your customer that choice. And we're good to go. Next, I want to sell a climbing item. I've got a person that's interested in climbing our wall, and so I'll hit the climbing button. And what you'll see in our pricing levels is that I've got an adult, a teen, and a youth climbing item. I'm going to go ahead and sign up my teenager. And then as modifiers, I have the ability to add on equipment or climbing shoes. So I'm going to go ahead and give him some equipment. And I'm going to hit Add Item. I see the base price for a teen climbing is $5 with an additional $2 charge for the equipment, totaling $7.42. Again, I can collect payment. This time I'll go ahead and collect a check payment. The check is for $7.42, and in the reference line I will go ahead and enter the check number. Hit Next to finish the sale and ask the customer if they'd like a receipt. Next, I'd like to talk a bit about how to set up these concession buttons in the back end of the system. To set up a concession item, you need to visit CCMS Admin, which is available in the Citrix USW application portal. If you do not have access to the application portal, just ask your supervisor to send an email to your local IT department. You'll see here in Admin that we've got a concessions module. Click on that. On my left-hand side, these are each of my concession categories. If I return to my kiosk, they are the same. These are my category buttons. If you want to create a new category, just go ahead and go to the lower center part of the screen and hit New Category. You can give it a name. Maybe you want a category for breakfast items. Next, you want to give it a categorization, and this is strictly for reporting purposes on your cumulative stats report. In this case, it looks like the best fit for a breakfast section is a food and beverage concession. So we'll select food and beverage concession. I want to also tie a default general ledger account to this category. By tying a default general ledger account to your concession category, this ensures that every single item that lands in that category will ultimately get the right general ledger account. I just picked one at random though. The next thing you want to make a decision on is whether or not you want to print a remote receipt. If you have a kitchen that you want to do short orders, send them to your kitchen. You can set up a remote receipt. And if you want this to print to the kitchen, you'll go ahead and hit print remote receipt. Go ahead and say yes. You can also decide whether or not you want to give an employee discount and what order you want this button to be in. If you go ahead and put in a 0 under the order, that will make it so that all of your concession category buttons show up alphabetically. The active checkbox just means that this is an active and visible category button at the kiosk. If you inactivate it, it will no longer be seen at your kiosk. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I've now created a concession category called breakfast. In order to add items to this section, I just make sure this category is highlighted, and I'm going to go ahead and hit new item. My first item will be a bowl of oatmeal. And actually, now that I think about it, maybe quite possibly we'll just do oatmeal, because as I stated before, we have the ability to do different price levels. So with my oatmeal, my item pricing would be a cup versus a bowl. Or maybe small versus large. We'll make my cup $1.50 and the bowl $3. You can have up to 4 item prices. Next, I'm going to add modifiers. So we have add sugar. Maybe that's no additional charge. Add cinnamon. Again, no additional charge. And then add dried fruit. And maybe this one costs $1. You can have somewhere between 24 and 36 item modifiers. There's a lot of options there. We just go ahead and hit save. And we've created our oatmeal breakfast option. Next, we'll go ahead and do cereal. Again, we can set if we set our ordering to zeros, they will show up alphabetically. Notice that our GL account transferred over from the category level, as did our print remote receipt. And for cereal, maybe we just have one price for cereal. Next, we can say add fruit. Maybe add sugar. And that will make that no charge. And we'll save. If you already have existing concession categories, like take for instance, let's look at our cafe cold beverages, you may want to take the opportunity to streamline and reorganize some of these items so that instead of having 3 Italian sodas, you only have 1 Italian soda with 3 separate prices. In order to reorganize and streamline your concession items, the first thing you need to do before making any modifications is to look at your punch cards and look at your coupons and notate if any of those punch cards or coupons use or are attributable to these 3 items. If they're not, go ahead and plow forward with making changes. If you do have a punch card associated with one of these items, please keep in mind that you cannot get rid of it. If you get rid of this concession item, if we had a punch card for Italian sodas that are of a large size, you would actually be inactivating all the punch cards for all the customers that have previously purchased the 10 Italian soda punch card. So just use caution. But in this case, I've already double checked and I do not have any punch cards or coupons currently associated with the Italian sodas. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and actually inactivate the medium and the small ones to start. So I'm going to select my medium, I'm going to hit inactive, I'm going to save that. Back to my cold beverages, I'm going to go to my small, inactivate, save. Back to my cold beverages, I'm going to take my Italian soda large and I'm going to make that my primary item. So I'm going to get rid of large out of the button description. I'm going to go ahead and change the text of my price items to large, medium, and small. In some cafes, you could do a 12 ounce, a 16 ounce, a 24 ounce, completely up to you. Next item, we need to decide whether or not we want to add any modifiers. For the Italian sodas, it is fairly common for a customer to ask for extra syrup. And we charge 50 cents for that. We'll go ahead and make a save. And now we've reduced 3 items into only 1. Before we go for today, I'd like to pop over to our test kiosk to show you what these new buttons look like. And first of all, we did create a new item called breakfast. And you see here's our cereal and our oatmeal breakfast. Select oatmeal breakfast. We've got a cup or a bowl, and we have the ability to add sugar, cinnamon, and dried fruit. Along with our new category of breakfast, we also went into our cafe cold beverages, and we reduced our 3 Italian sodas into only 1. And it looks like I need to do the same thing with our smoothies here. So that will be my next step, will be to consolidate those. But if I click on Italian soda, I have my large, medium, and small options, and I can select extra syrup. I'd like to thank you for joining this short CCMS tutorial. Please don't forget to join us next time. And also don't forget to visit croctoolkit.org for all your video training needs. Thank you.